Welcome everybody. I'll be right back to the show where we take a look at a horror movie. And Peter, we have a new Scream movie coming out, baby. So we're taking a look at the original Scream.
What's the next one? Scream 19 or something? Something like that.
Scream 7, I believe.
Yeah. Anyway, we went back to the start, didn't we? And we looked at Scream number 1. Freaking loved it.
I'm happy to hear you say that because we went and did Halloween, which is my favorite horror movie, and you were a bit meh on it. I would say Scream is my second favorite horror movie, and I think Scream in general is my favorite franchise. I think it's the most consistent across the board in terms of quality. Like, the worst Scream movie is still better than most Friday the 13th films. Phenomenal filmmaking. I think in terms of like, a slasher film as a whodunit, as just like a teen kind of drama thing. Almost every line feels iconic in this. Every sequence is just incredibly shot and paced and everything. I think it's almost as close to flawless as a film can really get.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's a really entertaining movie. It's what I would class... Well, is it? I was going to say it's entry-level horror, but it's not. It's got some pretty grotesque bits. I mean, there's a lot of guts being spilled in this, literally. Great performances from the majority of the cast. I'm going to probably moan later on about one person in particular. But in general, superb performances, brilliant, iconic bad guy in Ghostface. The only thing I would say, James, is it does stand up to a second viewing because it's still great fun, but it's interesting watching it when you know who the killers are because it feels like it's so obvious when you go back and rewatch it.
It's completely obvious. I have an entire section of my notes that is dedicated to all the giveaways that this is the killers are the killers in this movie. And like, I don't remember a point in my life where I didn't know who the killers were in this film. And people always talk about if you could go back and watch any movie again, not knowing anything about it. I would pick this. I would love to experience this as someone who doesn't know what happens to think would I have clocked it,
Drew Barrymore at the start was fantastic in it, as she usually is. Some brilliant kills. The neck in the garage door is a pretty good one. Just iconic. I loved it. I really, really enjoyed this film. See, make us watch more of this kind of stuff instead of Leprechaun and shit like that, man. This keeps us enthused.
I like when we have a little argument about something.
Well, we're going to have one in a bit. We're going to have one in a bit, I think. Yeah.
A little bit of background about the movie. It's written by Kevin Williamson. The script was originally titled Scary Movie. The name was changed to Scream late in production, inspired by the Scream song playing in a car during discussions. Kevin Williamson wrote the script in just a few days after watching a news story about the Gainesville Ripper, which helped inspire the opening scene's tension. Wes Craven signed on to direct. He turned it down multiple times initially. He wanted to move away from kind of teen horror. Yeah, Wes Craven obviously, Nightmare on Elm Street, created Freddy Krueger. Hills Have Eyes, kind of a horror maestro.
I like the nod to Freddy in this.
That's Wes Craven's cameo, yeah. That's him, yeah, in the Freddy thing. That was great. As I've said, the opening sequence in this, I would put an argument in that that's possibly the best opening sequence in any film ever. Just like, before we even get the opening shot, the phone call, the voice, the way it kind of goes from kind of flirty and stuff up to, like I'll gut you like a fish and everything. I think the drop of the hat is so great. Even like the things like the popcorn popping in the background is kind of just adding to it. And just a fantastic performance from Drew Barrymore there as well.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoy that entire sequence. I'm not sure I would say it's the best sequence ever, but certainly in horror.
Scream, I think, has consistently fantastic opening kills.
My favourite Scream 2. I like it when the man's in the bathroom, in the toilet, the knife goes through the cubicle.
An amazingly well-casted film. Like we have, I think Sydney, probably my favourite final girl. Billy and Stu, like Skeet Ulrich, and like just looks like a murderer.
He does. He looks like a psycho.
Yeah, like Matthew Lillard just gives just an incredibly zany, over-the-top performance that just really works with the tone of the film,
Yeah.
Oh, don't you fucking dare. Don't you dare criticize Matthew Lillard in this film.
See, I knew it. I said this to the missus last night. I know you have got a straight man crush on Matthew Lillard. And I do like him. I think he's great, but he is very good. Don't be chucking hate at us in the comments. But his performance is absolutely standout distracting. It's like 10 times over the top. He's batshit crazy. And I don't know whether that's intentional, whether he's meant to be off his face on drugs the entire thing, or if he was off his face on drugs the entire thing. I don't know. Once you kind of note it, it becomes quite distracting at times. It pulls back at the end because I love the bit where he's kind of on the phone and stuff and he's like, did you really call the cops out? And my mum and dad are so mad at me. I love all that bit.
Yeah.
But kind of the normal stuff, the interactions with the high school students and stuff, and the bit in the video store in particular, kind of took us out of the film a little bit, to be honest.
I think those people exist. I don't think it comes off as unrealistic. I think he sells it. I never felt like it took me out of the film. But that might be because I'm just so familiar with this movie that I can't imagine it being done any other way. Obviously, Billy and Stu turn out to be the killers. We have a couple of red herrings throughout the movie. Like there's a point where the sheriff has has the same boots that you see Ghostface wearing earlier on. There's a couple of like music cues with Dewey when he's like asking Gail, do you want to walk into the woods together, you know? So they try and pull you in different directions, but like it is so obvious that it's the two of them. And I think that's the genius of it, is that it's so obviously them. If you're watching this, you'd think it couldn't possibly be them, because like that's too obvious. So like one, like it's stated very like in his first scene, Stu's motive for killing Casey, which is that like she broke up with him for the other guy, and that's why he killed them. That's why they killed the two of them. So literally his motive for that, why that person died, is stated there at the start of the movie. You see Billy kind of glaring at Stu about like, shut the fuck up, why are you talking about this stuff, why are you mentioning gutting like fishes and stuff like that.
Do you not think they get away with it a bit, James, because you're more of a horror aficionado than me? Is this the first movie that will have like a dual killer? I think that's what helped get it over the line for me, you know?
Well, I suppose like you look at like just traditional whodunit, you have like Murder on the Orient Express, where it's everybody, you know? So like it's been done, but I think you would be going into this expecting a singular killer.
You're referencing their whodunits and stuff, but I'm thinking horror. I think Freddy, I think Jason, I think Michael, all singular killers.
Ghostface, yeah, you wouldn't think there was two going in. So like, doesn't Tatum say, well, he was at my house last night, he couldn't have done it, so you know it was Billy that went and did it, and then came back straight to Sydney's. They give each other knowingly looks half the time, like when Billy shows up to the party, he gives a little like eyebrow lift to Stu, signaling that he's after killing Tatum. In the video store when they gang up on Randy, they look so evil. Like, you know, and the fact that like Stu sends Tatum to go get the beers and then gets a beer later, and you don't see him for another 25 minutes, like you must have known it was him at that point.
And I think the other thing, and again, I don't know if this is true or if this is just, you know, how your mind plays tricks on you or whatever. There's a lot of points in the movie when Ghostface is hit or knocked or whatever and makes noises.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, that's Matthew Lillard.
That's Matthew Lillard. That's Skeet Ulrich. Yeah, you can actually tell which one it is when they get hit.
Yeah.
And the, noise. Yeah. Which I thought was really great, like that they ADR'd that in afterwards, you know. Ghostface himself as a design is incredible. This is a license. So this was a Halloween costume from a company called Fun World, and they licensed the costume. It was apparently quite popular. I just think it's funny, the idea of like Fun World got paid for them to use this, and now they are raking in. So like when you see a Ghostface action figure or t-shirt or whatever, it's never Scream licensed. It says Ghostface on it because it's Fun World that's licensed it out to the companies. You know, I think that's really funny. So
good for them.
And that's what led to like the TV show. Like the first 2 seasons of the TV show doesn't use this mask. It uses like an original one, which kind of took away from it, I think. I love like the way they like clean the knife off with the glove. I think that's really cool. The little kind of movements, he moves like a phantom a little bit. But then there's also like that kind of human element of he gets knocked down sometimes, like, and you know, you hear these little whelps and stuff. I think that's all great as well.
I tell you what else I really appreciated about this one in particular. I thought it was just me being a miserable old man the last few times we watched Scream 5 and 6, and I've moaned at you about it, but my wife commented on this one as well, is that this feels much more realistic in terms of knife violence than the future films. It was good in this one, seeing, you know, when they stab each other at the end and stuff like that, the impact that has. You know, I think you stabbed us too deep, you know, he's coughing up blood and stuff. By the time we get to 6, I remember talking to you about that, there's people being stabbed like 15 times and then they get up at the end and they're still all right or whatever. And it's like, we've lost the realism a little bit here, which is kind of why when we were talking about this as we were watching the film, my wife was saying, but isn't Matthew Lillard coming back? I was saying, oh yeah. And she said, well, does he not die at the end of this? I says, I can't remember how he dies. Then he gets the TV on the head and all the rest of it. I hope he's dead. He cannot come. If he comes back, it's like, come on, you're just stretching it now. Like,
it's not like a thing of he's alive in prison and no one's mentioned it. We see on a police board in 6 that he's listed as deceased. So the police, as far as the world is aware, he is dead. So like, yeah, we've talked about before, like it will have to be a faked his death, swapped out thing somehow. I don't see how that's happening. He's not the brains of this operation here, you know what I mean? Like he's very much the patsy. So like I said, I think nobody's really alive. It's a, you know, a deep fake thing or an AI thing or something like that, you know, voice changing stuff would be my guess. But like, it's not the least survivable thing a character in the series has survived, though. I think, you know, like if a TV falling in your head, I suppose you did get stabbed like 8 times.
But in the context of Scream 1,
yes,
he should be dead.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Or I would accept physically maimed and hideously disfigured through the glass and the electricity.
The violence, like I think some really great kills. Like I like the tension of the principal one. Was really good. Where he's
I love that.
He's such an ass.
Keeps catching him. Oh no, I love him. And I love how he keeps catching himself in the mirror and getting a shock every time he sees himself. I think that's great.
Another part like that where Dewey, for some reason, is holding the Ghostface mask up to the door, so when Sydney runs out of it, like she gets a scare. That was ridiculous. Like
there was a bit with Dewey where I thought they've missed a trick yet, and I don't know if it's ended up on the cutting room floor. He's standing talking to the sheriff, very deliberately smoking a cigarette whilst Dewey's eating an ice cream. They seem to take great pains in focusing in on this cigarette, and then he kind of throws it on the floor and stands on it. And Dewey's eating an ice cream. I thought Dewey was sure to throw the ice cream cone on the floor and stand on it.
At For the Love of Horror, that actor that plays the sheriff was on stage and said that that's what the plan for that scene was. That Dewey was going to throw the ice cream on the ground and step in it, and they just said it's too silly. Like,
See, I would love that. I would love that.
But like, Dewey is just such a weird, wild card to throw in this movie, where he's so like goofy and incompetent, but like good-hearted. I think he's just a gem of a character.
Dewey, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
He died in one of them, didn't he? Didn't he die in the last one?
He dies in 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've not seen him since then. Yeah. He's apparently back for the new one as well.
Of course he is.
Tatum, the garage door kill. I mean, one of the best kills in a horror movie. I feel like. I think that's just so iconic. And I even like the lead up of she's not taking it seriously. She thinks it's somebody messing. Please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel. I think all that's great. The fact that she like could have gotten through that door as well.
Yeah. Very deliberately tight, cold top.
Oh, she's got the nips out. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I mean, she didn't until she opened that door, and then all of a sudden it was like, wow, that's noticeable. Yeah.
Is that a complaint?
My wife might be watching, so yes, I thought it was gratuitous.
Shameful. Absolutely shameful. Yeah. Just another thing I want to highlight, the music I really love in this. I think there's a great kind of soundtrack. Like you have Red Right Hand, which went on to be the Peaky Blinders theme song. That's kind of plays a couple times. There's a reference to Halloween in the scene where Billy comes into Sydney's room, where there's like a slow version of Don't Fear the Reaper playing, and that's the song from the car in Halloween. I also love the way you have Halloween playing on the television, and so the Halloween score is playing through certain sequences. I thought that was really clever. And then you have some really cool transitional kind of music of like, establishing shots of the town and stuff like that. I think all the music is something I never really noticed until this watch.
No, I thought the music's excellent.
A little bit of trivia about the movie. The film had to be submitted to the MPAA 9 times before being granted an R rating. The ratings board felt that the stabbing scenes were too prolonged and realistic, and the film's comedic, self-aware tone made the brutal violence more disturbing. The film's opening kill and final showdown were particular issues for the board. You're right that it is less... There was other horror movies at this time where people are getting chopped in half or beheaded or whatever, but it is the tone. It feels more real. So when you see somebody getting stabbed and gutted, you can even see and shot like 9 times a lot. Like there's some, you can see online kind of some of the lengthier scenes, but even like during the part where Billy and Stu are stabbing each other, some of it's off screen. It's just on Sydney's face. Like they had to cut away for that. It's a tonal thing. It's not actually how gratuitous the violence on screen is, And I think there would have been a concern about copycats because of like the topic of the movie. It's like people who are copying off of horror films, and that probably would have been a concern as well. Ghostface voice actor Roger L. Jackson actually performed the phone calls live on set instead of recording them later. The cast didn't know what he looked like, which helped make their reactions more genuine and slightly more uncomfortable. I'd heard that like they hadn't met him until after the 3rd movie.
Right.
That he was like behind a curtain basically, like, and then nobody ever met him. I think that's kind of crazy. Like that.
I like that.
Even at like premieres or whatever, like nobody said, "I'm Roger," like that's funny.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, he felt like a man of mystery. I was surprised when he was like, "Oh, he's doing conventions." And lastly, during the finale, Skeet Ulrich was accidentally stabbed with an umbrella tip that hit an old open heart surgery scar. His reaction in the scene is very real pain, and it actually made the cut. So the bit where Sydney pops out of the thing, the second stab, you can see the first one like is a retractable thing, and the second one hits that part of him, and you see him scream like properly. Ow. Yeah, that's rough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit rough.
So the future of the franchise, Scream 2. So obviously focusing on sequels. You're a fan of the opening sequence, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember much about what happens after that. I know it's at the university, but yeah, I remember enjoying the opening sequence because they want to say stab, or they not?
Yes. And that's like a film version of the Scream movie. For a long time, 2 was my favorite, and I remember particularly like there's a kind of a sound booth kind of sequence where Gale's kind of moving around and Ghostface creeping in the background. I thought that was great. I think the Sarah Michelle Gellar sequence is really cool as well, where you see him like kind of coming in the front door and stuff. I loved all that. Scream 3 is kind of considered the weakest of the series. I still think it's okay, but I think the Ghostface reveal is a bit shit. Where
that's
it's like,
the one with that
long lost brother who had orchestrated the first movie's events and shit like that. And I just didn't like that kind of retcon, Scream 4 then in 2011, so it had been 10 years since the last one. I have a little fun fact about this movie, Peter. So when this was rated in Ireland, it was 18s, and I was 16 at the time this came out. So I was super stoked to get to see a Scream movie in the cinema. And when it was rated 18s, I created 50 fake email addresses and wrote to the IFCO, which is our classification office, requesting them to review the thing, comparing it to like Saw movies, which are 16s and stuff like that, and they changed the rating to 16s.
Just because of you?
Possibly, likely because of. I mean, what are the odds of that? I know, like so I'm a part of Scream history there.
It's incredible.
It might have nothing to do with me at all. It might just ignore.
Just think, Just think, Mr. Keegan, if you'd spent that time, I don't know, revising for exams and shit like that, instead of sending 50 emails, just think where you could be now.
What are you trying to say, man? You call me a failure or something like that? I work hard, bro, you know?
I wouldn't dream of it.
I've got street smarts.
Time well spent. Time well spent, James.
Then we had Scream 5 in 2022, so that's just called Scream. That was kind of reboot one with Jenna Ortega. Yeah. Really love that one. I think that's probably might be my second favorite of the series now. Then Scream 6 is Ghostface in New York.
Enjoyed that one.
Enjoyed that one as well. Yeah, I thought that was great. And yeah, we have Scream 7 now coming out. I'm just fascinated. Like, I think there's a lot of the movie we've not seen from the trailers. Yeah, and just how it's going to pull together. I'm just very, very curious about how it's going to work. I would love just, oh yeah, it's Stu. I'm like, yeah, hopefully, that'd be cool.
I am leaning more to the, it looks like a fake out, then by the end, he's revealed as kind of disfigured and stuff like that.
Well, no, shortly anyway. Probably by the time this video comes out. Any final thoughts on Scream?
No, just thoroughly enjoyable. Really, really like the movie. Excited to see what happens next. Kind of hope 7 goes back to form a little bit in terms of the realism of the violence, because it's getting a bit cartoony.
One of the greatest horror films ever made. I think one of the greatest films ever made. I've seen this movie 20 times. It's entertaining every time I watch it. Cast is phenomenal. I think the opening sequence and the finale, I really think this is close to flawless. Like, there's not really anything I would highlight as, oh, this was an issue or that was an issue, or I would change anything about it. So yeah, I mean, just one of the greatest of all time, I think. And that's I'll Be Right Back on Scream. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, leave a like. We review all the latest horror movies in the cinema, and we have episodes of I'll Be Right Back on various horror movies, so go check that out. We also have One Good Scare live every second Friday, and we'll be right back next time with
See you on the flip side.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Never, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.